Have you ever noticed how difficult it can be to truly rest? Sometimes the body sits down, but the mind refuses to slow down. You might finally have a quiet moment. Nothing urgent needs to be done. There are no immediate responsibilities demanding your attention. And yet, something inside you still feels uneasy. You sit down to relax, but part of you starts thinking about everything you haven't finished yet. Maybe there's something around the house that still needs to be done. Maybe there's work waiting for tomorrow. Maybe there's someone you feel like you should check on. And even though nothing urgent is happening, a quiet voice in your mind begins whispering something familiar. You should probably be doing something right now. For some people, rest doesn't feel peaceful. It feels uncomfortable. It can feel like wasted time. Sometimes it even feels like guilt. And if you've ever experienced that feeling, you may have wondered why slowing down can feel so wrong, even when you know you need it. Because rest should feel natural, but for many people it doesn't. And the reason often has much less to do with laziness and much more to do with patterns the mind learned long ago. Many people grow up learning that working hard is a good thing. Parents encourage effort. Teachers reward productivity. Society praises people who stay busy and accomplish a lot. From a young age, we often hear messages like, work hard, stay productive, don't waste time. These messages are not necessarily harmful on their own. Hard work can build confidence. Effort can lead to meaningful accomplishments. But sometimes a subtle shift happens. Instead of simply valuing productivity, a person begins connecting productivity with their sense of worth. The mind starts forming a quiet equation. The more I accomplish, the more valuable I am. The more useful I am, the more accepted I will be. And when that connection forms deeply enough, rest can start to feel uncomfortable. Because if doing things makes you feel valuable, then doing nothing can start to feel like losing that value. Even if that belief isn't fully conscious, even if you logically know that rest is important, emotionally, the mind may still be operating under a much older rule. If you stop moving, you stop being useful. And that belief can quietly follow someone into adulthood. For some people, the feeling of guilt around rest comes from growing up with responsibilities that felt heavy for their age. Not every childhood is the same. Some children are able to simply focus on school, friendships, and growing up. But others are placed in situations where they have to take on responsibilities much earlier. Maybe they helped raise younger siblings. Maybe they became the one who helped keep things organized at home. Maybe they were relied on emotionally by adults in their life. Sometimes children in these situations become very capable very quickly. They learn how to help. They learn how to solve problems. They learn how to step in when something needs to be handled. And over time, constant responsibility can start to feel normal. Always doing something. Always helping someone. Always staying alert to what might need attention next. When someone grows up living in that pattern, their brain becomes used to constant motion, constant awareness, constant readiness. So when adulthood finally offers moments of rest, the nervous system doesn't always recognize those moments as safe. Instead, it may feel like something important is being neglected, even when nothing is actually wrong. Another reason rest can feel uncomfortable is the belief that time should always be used for something productive. For some people, every moment of the day feels like it should have a purpose. There should always be something getting done, something improving, something being organized or completed. If the house is quiet, maybe there's something that should be cleaned. If the schedule is open, maybe there's something that should be planned. If there's a moment of stillness, maybe there's something more productive that could fill that space. Over time, the mind can become very uncomfortable with empty time because empty time feels unfamiliar. It feels like something is missing. But human beings were never meant to operate constantly without pause. Just like the body needs sleep after a long day, the mind also needs periods where nothing is required. Moments where there is no pressure to accomplish anything. Moments where the brain can simply exist without needing to solve or fix anything. Without those pauses, exhaustion slowly builds. Not always in obvious ways. Sometimes it appears as irritability. Sometimes as mental fog. Sometimes as a quiet sense of burnout. And often the person experiencing it doesn't immediately realize what's missing. They simply haven't given themselves permission to rest. For some people, the discomfort around rest runs even deeper. When life finally becomes quiet, the mind suddenly has space. Space to think. Space to remember. Space to feel things that were pushed aside during busy moments. Sometimes the mind begins replaying conversations. Sometimes worries about the future appear. Sometimes emotions that were ignored for a long time finally come into view. And because those feelings can be uncomfortable, the brain learns something subtle. Staying busy keeps those feelings away. If you keep moving, you don't have to sit with them. If you stay productive, you don't have to face them. In this way, constant activity can quietly become a form of protection. Not because someone is intentionally avoiding their emotions, but because the mind has learned that movement keeps things manageable, and rest allows deeper feelings to surface. The body itself also plays a role in this experience. Our nervous system is designed to adapt to the environments we live in. When someone spends years in situations that require constant attention, responsibility, or stress, the nervous system becomes used to operating at a higher level of alertness. The brain becomes comfortable with activity, with tasks, with motion, with responsibility. So, when everything suddenly slows down, the body doesn't immediately recognize that calm as normal. Instead, it may feel unfamiliar, almost like something is missing. The mind may begin searching for something to do, something to organize, something to fix. Not because anything is actually wrong, but because the nervous system has been trained to stay active. And learning to rest again sometimes means gently teaching the body that stillness is safe. One of the most important ideas people can begin to understand is that rest is not laziness. Rest is recovery. Rest is maintenance. Rest is part of the natural rhythm of being human. No one can operate continuously without pause. Even the most productive people in the world depend on periods of rest to restore their focus and energy. Without rest, creativity fades, patience fades, motivation fades. Eventually, even the strongest drive to accomplish things begins to disappear. Rest is not the opposite of productivity. It is the foundation that makes productivity possible. Just like a field must occasionally lie fallow in order to grow again, the human mind also needs quiet moments to recover. Moments where nothing is demanded. Moments where effort is not required. Moments where simply existing is enough. For people who have spent many years feeling uncomfortable when they slow down, learning to rest often takes time. The mind may need to slowly adjust to the idea that stillness is not failure, that taking breaks does not mean abandoning responsibility, that caring for yourself does not make you selfish. Sometimes this process begins with very small steps. Allowing yourself to sit quietly for a few minutes without reaching for another task. Taking a walk without turning it into something productive. Allowing a moment of silence without immediately filling it with noise or activity. Each time someone allows themselves to rest, the brain receives a new message. The world did not fall apart. Nothing terrible happened. Rest is safe. And slowly, the mind begins learning a new rhythm, one that includes both effort and recovery. One of the most powerful changes someone can make is simply giving themselves permission to rest, permission to stop working for a while, permission to pause, permission to breathe, permission to exist without constantly proving their value. Because worth was never meant to be measured by how busy someone is. You do not have to earn your right to rest. You do not have to justify every quiet moment. You are allowed to exist without constantly producing something. And when people begin understanding this, something surprising often happens. Rest stops feeling like guilt and begins feeling like relief. If you've spent much of your life feeling uncomfortable when you slow down, it's important to remember that this pattern likely developed for a reason. It may have helped you manage responsibilities that once felt overwhelming. It may have helped you maintain control in uncertain environments. It may have helped you feel useful or needed when things around you felt unstable. But you were never meant to live in a constant state of effort. Life was always meant to include moments of stillness, moments where nothing is expected, moments where the mind can simply exist. Learning to embrace those moments can be one of the most powerful forms of healing, because when rest finally begins to feel safe, something else begins to appear. Clarity, peace, and the quiet understanding that you were never meant to carry everything alone. If this video resonated with you, the next video in this series explores why peace can sometimes feel uncomfortable. Because for people who have lived in constant motion and responsibility, calm moments can feel unfamiliar at first. But with time, they can become something deeply healing.